Welcome back. In local politics, the opposition says a government statement rejecting criticisms of the future job strategy misses the point. The GSD had accused the GSLP Liberals of not offering structured training leading to meaningful jobs. But the government responded that the GSD's vocational cadet scheme had trainees on less than the minimum wage and led to far fewer of them getting jobs than those on the future job strategy now. Stephen Niche spoke to the opposition's employment spokesman, Damon Bocino.
Well, you see, I do insist that the government is the party in this debate which is missing the point. It is missing the point because what they don't talk about is a very sort of structured and quality training programs which the GSD government had with the private sector. For example, we entered into partnership agreements which were very welcomed by the private sector in various areas such as, for example, telecommunications, the electrical trades, the engineering trades, and would have been expanded had we won the last general election. What is happening here is, in fact, what I've said is in response to the point made by Kevin Coyne, which is Unite's Gibraltar officer, who said that in order for Gibraltar's economy to succeed, it needs a highly motivated, highly skilled and professional workforce. And also, indeed, the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom in a recent drive in the UK, where he has been saying and trying to foster encouragement in the UK government's apprenticeship and vocational training schemes, because he says that those people who participate in those schemes will provide the economic backbone of the United Kingdom economy. And what I've said, well, right, I've been in this job as an opposition MP with responsibility for employment since February of this year, and we're now and been doing it therefore for about 10 months, and we're now very close to the halfway point of the term of the GSLP in government now. And what I'm saying is, okay, let's take stock and see whether the future job strategy introduced by Joe Bolsano in 2011 is reaching the threshold suggested by Mr. Coyne and Mr. Clegg, the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. I think that it is not, and I think it's a failure and tragic, therefore.
You say that the GSD offers structured training, but of course what the government says is that you were employing these trainees as cheap labour almost, and also that the construction industry was in decline under the GSD, whereas now under them it's reviving.
Stephen, the fact is that this government is spending, it is a capital expenditure, right, of £12 million a year and rising, because of course the increases will be as a result of the increases to the minimum wage. Over the 4-term period in government, that will be £48 million plus, okay? And what I call a tragedy is that all of this money, capital funds, your and my funds as taxpayers, is being channeled into a scheme which is simply not delivering the goods, right? We've got to a situation, and at the end of the day, all I can base myself on largely is on the anecdotal evidence which is coming to us at GSD office. I am continually being advised of individuals who are at home, although in a placement, but at home and receiving income. I'm also advised of young people and unemployed people who are languishing in dead-end jobs, right? And that is what is of concern to me, that we should be spending so much of taxpayers' money for a scheme which is not and will not be providing the professional work base which our economy so badly needs.
Well, the government, of course, as you know, counters that by saying that 54% of the trainees in the future job strategy have got jobs by the end of September, whereas the figure was much less, I think something like 28% for the equivalent scheme under the GSD. And also, as I was mentioning earlier, that the trainees now at least are getting the minimum wage, whereas you are not giving them that sum of money.
Quite frankly, it would be laughable if a government which is spending almost £50 million over a 4-year term wasn't able to say that they've been slightly, marginally more successful than what the GSD did.
Twice as much, they say.
But let me just finish the point. The second point, and this is a very important and fundamental point, I, as your parliamentarian in opposition, have been asking the government time and time again to give us details of those employers in the private sector who are employing these 54% of individuals that they say have been employed. Unless they provide us with that information, then I will treat those figures as dubious.
And the Minister for Employment has rejected the opposition's criticism of the government's future job strategy. Responding to questions raised by Mr. Bossino about the scheme's transparency and selection process, Joe Bossano said he would expect most trainees to be GSLP supporters, as many were unemployed for years under the previous administration. Speaking to GBC, Mr. Bossano added, however, that nobody is asked for their party card when joining the scheme, and that it's aimed at helping all working-class young people. Stephen Nish asked him about Mr. Bossino's criticism of the scheme as not providing the skills deemed important by the UK's Deputy Prime Minister, among others.
I can tell you for certain that the Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom hasn't got a clue what are the skills that we require in Gibraltar. And I think what he was talking about was about the skills mix in the United Kingdom, where in fact there is now a debate going on, which is what Bossino has picked up, showing he doesn't have much more of a clue than the Deputy Prime Minister as to what the composition of the Gibraltar market is. In the United Kingdom, they are saying there is now a revival in manufacturing, and manufacturing exports are going up quite well, and they're finding that they haven't trained enough people in the engineering trades to meet the needs of the manufacturing industry. And that is what they're both talking about. We don't have a manufacturing industry in Gibraltar. The construction industry is one of the biggest areas for manual skilled workers. And what we have inherited is that between 1996 and 2011, the number of jobs in that industry grew by 150%, and the number of Gibraltarians in it in the same period dropped by 25%.
As you know, Mr. Bossino says that some of the trainees are actually just staying at home and getting paid while they're there, and that others are languishing, as he puts it, in dead-end jobs. What would you say to that?
No, that is not true, because in fact, first of all, I would have thought that if there are people in the companies that are employing them who are not in fact working and are staying at home languishing and getting £1,000 a month, and they've gone to complain to the opposition about it, I would be delighted to meet them, because they are very rare human beings that are complaining about getting £1,000 a month for doing nothing and languishing at home. So I don't believe that Mr. Bossino is telling the truth. I don't believe people are complaining. But if those people exist, I invite them to come and see me, and I will guarantee them that I will find them work to do. And I will certainly guarantee that the people that we have placed them with never get another trainee again for as long as we're in government. But I can tell you that the scheme has been a success to date, not as much as I would want. I would want 100% success. But we've been able to place 54% of the people that were that had been in the scheme. Between the 1st of February and the end of September, 999 people joined the scheme. Out of those, 546 had left and were in employment as a result of the training they had received. Now, that 546, Mr. Bossino told you in the interview, was a slight increase. Well, look, it was, if it's true that it was 28 before, 29 would be a slight increase. 54 is quite a big increase, but I suppose he's got problems with percentages. And I can tell you another thing that he said to you, which shows his failure to grasp what this is all about, is he was saying that the fact that we had in employment 54% was, well, of course, only to be expected because we're spending £12 million. Well, look, the 54% is the people on whom we're not spending the £12 million. They're the people who are employed already. The reason why we have a budget of £12 million was because during the election campaign, as you may remember, they revealed that if we paid £1,000 to every person that didn't have a job, it would cost 11 million. And in fact, it's cost 12 million because there were more than 1,000. There was something like 1,200 when we started in February.
Giving evidence in the Mahrache trial at the Supreme Court this week, Financial Services Commission CEO Marcus Killick has outlined the circumstances that led him, in February 2010, to cancel the licences held by Cabor and Gibland. And a former human resources and marketing manager at Mahrache & Co. has told the Supreme Court the relationship between Isaac and Benjamin Mahrache was horrendous. Jonathan Scott has been following proceedings.
In correspondence at the time between Cabo and Gibland, two Marrache & Co. companies, and the FSC, Mr. Killick was informed that 3 clients of the law firm had reportedly agreed to provide financial assistance by allowing their properties in Gibraltar to be remortgaged. In early 2010, Mr. Killick wrote back saying it was inconceivable that clients' properties might be remortgaged without their knowledgeable consent. The court saw an email exchange in which one of the defendants in this conspiracy to defraud case, Benjamin Marrache, offered to provide evidence of this arrangement and of the client's consent. But Mr. Killick said he never received written proof of this and cancelled the Cabo and Gibland licences on the 8th of February 2010, including, among his reasons, the need to protect the public and the reputation of Gibraltar as a global finance centre. Also giving evidence, former Human Resources and Marketing Manager Anna Moffat told the Supreme Court the relationship between Isaac and Benjamin Marrache was horrendous. Miss Moffat said the two brothers were always fighting, and in the months preceding the collapse of the law firm, it got worse. Miss Moffat said Isaac Marrache was constantly trying to exert seniority, asking Benjamin not to override him. London-based senior partner Isaac reportedly requested that Benjamin Marrache, the managing partner in Gibraltar, make him aware of all the firm's decisions on the rock. She described how, after one loud exchange, the brothers just sat there like naughty children. Live evidence continues.
The week ended with sad news as the body of a man was found at Sandy Bay on Friday morning. Also on the beach were a number of bales of suspected cannabis resin. The Royal Gibraltar Police launched an investigation to identify the man and establish whether there is a connection between the death and the drugs. A coroner's investigation is also underway. At the time of reporting, the man is as yet unidentified. Anyone with any information which may assist the police is urged to contact the duty officer at Newmole House Police Station. Also this week, the government extended Customs and Royal Gibraltar Police officers' powers to fight tobacco-related crime, while statistics published by the Guardia Civil claim they've seized almost €8 million in undeclared currency and goods at the border since last January. For the rest of this week's news, you can also head over to our website, gbc.gi/news. Tune in to Radio Gibraltar and GBC television throughout the week for the very latest local news. And you can also follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Thank you for watching and good night.